Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, and innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludwig, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Nadja Bester, the co-founder of AdLunam. So let's start with one good question. What inspired you to create AdLunam, and how does AdLunam work?
So AdLunam is an investment ecosystem that exists in the blockchain / crypto / Web3 industry. You know, the definition means different things to different people, but essentially it's an investment really ecosystem that exists within this industry where projects at an early stage are trying to secure funding for their early stage startups. So essentially what we do is we have a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, we have a startup accelerator where we work with founders, at this early stage, sort of from the seed funding round all the way up to the public sale, which of course in the cryptocurrency industry works a little bit different. It's like an IPO in the traditional startup world, but the public sale is something that retail investors are able to participate in the crypto industry. So we help and support startups with the funding journey from that early stage all the way up to the public sale, as well as with all the adjacent needs that they have as well. We help them get advisors, we help them with marketing, with community, with brand building, with tokenomics. There's so many different aspects that founders need in order to get to this point of public sale readiness. And so all three of us find ourselves in this industry, having had very strong careers previous and prior to this as well. So I think between the three of us, really the vision was to create something that is going to solve a problem within the industry. The origin of this idea was the question, how do we protect retail investors? And so in order for a retail investor to be protected, the companies that they invest in have to be really healthy, have to be solid, have to be sustainable. And so I think kind of that really was the motivation to say, look, we want all of these new people to come into the cryptocurrency industry to start investing in projects. But we that have been in the industry, we know that it's really not that easy for the average person who doesn't have a technical background, doesn't have a financial economics background. I mean, cryptocurrency is something that is extremely complex to understand in terms of, how things fit together. So if that is a service that you are offering people to come in and to invest, then you also need to make sure that they are safeguarded in a way that they might not understand that they need to be protected. And so that really is the kernel of AdLunam as a philosophy.
Well, could you share an example of particularly innovative project or idea that was born on AdLunam and its impact on the community?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, especially at this time. So I would say, just over like broadly speaking, I mean, I think the idea for AdLunam itself, we use an engage to earn model where we essentially it's quite complex in terms of an understanding or an explanation rather, if you're not well versed with the Web3 industry itself, because there's a lot of jargon. But in essence, to say that people are able to trade the attention that they give in terms of social media engagement, for example, they are able to trade that for the ability to invest in certain projects. So that as a company is quite innovative. It's definitely a first in the industry. So, in terms of a USP for the company, we've definitely been able to be very successful there and kind of, putting things together in a way that hadn't existed before. And of course, has generated a lot of excitement. I mean, we raised 1 million in 24 hours. We raised 2.5 million in 5 days. It was from a concept perspective, very popular.
Where do you see AdLunam contributing the most in coming years, knowing that the market is changing so rapidly?
So as to where I think that AdLunam will be adding the most benefit over the years to come, I almost think that the DNA on which the company is built is really the quote unquote promise that you're able to make. Because as much as the market is shifting, as a company, we might need to pivot, steadily as the market continues to metamorphosize, as I said. However, I think that the values that a company is built on, which really, equates to the DNA of the company. I think that is something that I can unequivocally say that we definitely are very committed to. If there is an industry that we are inviting people into, then it's our sacred responsibility to make sure that they are safeguarded, and that is something that we will definitely stick to.
How do you stay ahead of emerging trends and technologies that keeps you in the forefront of innovation?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I think it so much of this answer depends on kind of what industry you are in, for example. So in the Web3 industry, I mean, you are already at the forefront of innovation compared to other industries. So it's very, very important, especially as a founder or anyone, building or really operating in this market, to understand as early as possible what the next shift is that's taking place, because it's oftentimes very subtle. But because we especially work at an investment level, it's especially pertinent for us to truly understand kind of how things are sitting with different people at different times. And so for me, I mean, I can give the basic standard sort of line of I'm really on LinkedIn and on Twitter very often, not necessarily engaging, but there are people whose accounts I will find myself repeatedly going back to, or making sure that I follow the kind of people that I'm able to see these early shifts. But then also, being active and involved at different industry events. I think post-COVID, there was this rush of everyone just wanting to get out of the house, and now it's again at a time where, oh my God, there's so many events. I just wish there were fewer of them so I didn't have to travel all the time. But I think the difference is, so I attend and often speak at a lot of events in different countries. And again, if you're talking about, making sure that as a company you're ahead of the curve, you also need to understand what is happening on the ground.
Do you think Vision Pro will get us closer to that?
So I work a lot with metaverse projects, and also, I mean, my son has one of these headsets, and not of course the Vision Pro. I mean, I saw the ads for that, and I was like, wow, even I would love to try this. But what I've realized with the headset that my son has, the Oculus Pro, I think, it's not something I'm very acutely aware because of the hardware. That I'm wearing something and it's big and clunky. So I personally think, at least for me and my nervous system, that it's going to take a long time of technological development before I would truly be able to say, look, this is not, it's almost, you can't discriminate between what's real and what's not. But then if you watch the video with Mark Zuckerberg and Lex Friedman, is it? Where they do this interview in the metaverse. And I mean, it looks very, very real. But I think on that level of like needing to feel physically, tangibly that you are interacting with another person, I think that's going to take a while to replicate.
Talking about tokenomics, what do you believe the future holds for it and the role in shaping the creative landscape and beyond?
So I'll answer this question in two parts. The first one, if we focus specifically on tokenomics, which really is the process of creating a token economy. So if you create a new cryptocurrency, a new token, then you have to design the tokenomics for this specific token from an economical perspective to make sure that there's, for example, liquidity in the market and so forth. So a very technical process. Then speaking about tokenomics as more of a larger concept in terms of tokenizing things. So I think this really is something that separates, the cryptocurrency or Web3 industry from other industries, is that, you are able to create your own, let's say, company economy, because this is really the token that you are launching as a company. But I think on the other hand, the question then becomes, should everything have a token? And so I think, as a sort of more of a philosophical question directed at the industry, then The question is, should there be as many companies creating tokens? Because a lot of the mass media negativity and critique comes from these many different companies who raise funds, who create the token, who launch the token, only for the token to go to zero.
Leadership, it's hard. Now, as a leader, how do you inspire and empower your team, community members to achieve their innovative potential?
Yeah, leadership is such an interesting concept because it's not something that you can study for. You can't go to a university and study leadership, and that act by itself makes you a good leader. Leadership is one of those things where you can't really prepare for it in advance.
Yeah.
You have to kind of be thrown into the deep end. You have to actually be a leader. And then you have to have almost like an internship, right? Where you're learning on the job, you're making mistakes on the job, you're rectifying those mistakes. And there's no do-over because it's already done. It's almost like, I think leadership and parenting are two very similar concepts at that level. It's incredibly important to establish almost a baseline where there's walking the walk and talking the talk are the same thing. Because otherwise it's very difficult for people to follow a leader when at certain times what you say and what you do doesn't correlate. So in order for them to understand fully what the organization is about, what the leader is about, and how they can contribute to this vision, you have to make sure as a leader that they are starting from the same baseline as you. So truly inside and out, understand what you are doing, why you are doing it, where you want to go, and how you want to get there.
What does bold mean to you, Nadja? Not bold words. Not bold words. Bold. The name bold.
But it's funny you mentioned that because I actually started thinking about what does bold mean when we won the Bold Awards in our category, because that really triggered for me the question. I mean, there's so many different words that you are able to ascribe to an individual or to a company or to an idea. So why bold? So I've definitely done some thinking about this a couple of months ago when we were participating. And I think, the thing is, and this is something for sure that I've always tried to kind of emulate in my own life as well as in my professional life. I think everything worth doing is going to be difficult. If things were easy, everyone would be doing them. And I think all of us who have gone through, difficult times in order to either get through them or in another instance to get to the goal that you want to reach, but it needs difficult times in order to get to that goal. So I think all of us who've been there in any capacity understand that it's extremely difficult. It's really not easy. It takes everything out of you. It's like whatever it is that you're doing, but it's like a hero's journey where you have to go through the whole cycle, and sometimes you're elated and sometimes you feel like the world is ending, but all of these different cycles need to be gone through in order to kind of complete the process. So I've found this to be so true in my personal life and my professional life, that standing at this precipice, and I think there's constant precipices really, sometimes every day feels like a new precipice, but standing on this precipice where you go, well, you know what, this is really, really difficult and I'm not sure it's worth it, and then turning back, or standing facing it and saying, I'm terrified right now. I don't know how I'm going to get from this step to the next step. Maybe the jump that I need to make is in a cloud of mist and I don't even know if there's a next step. But that's where bold resides. So I think really the idea of being bold is, if you truly want something, you just take the next step. And that for me is what it means to be bold.
Thank you for joining me, Nadja, and look forward to our next conversation in the future. Always take care of yourself and always be bold.
Epi, thank you so much. It's been lovely speaking to you, and I so much appreciate and respect the work that you guys are doing with the Bold Awards as well. And I'm very, very happy. We're very proudly the winners of the previous competition, and also very proudly just part of the community that you are building. So much appreciated.
Thank you.